Hello everybody, it is Nicole from eKiwi, and today I have another beautiful disasters drawing for you guys. And today I am going to be covering the topic of quicksand. When this topic was suggested to me, I found it very interesting and I really wanted to do it, so I decided to go ahead and do that one today. If you don't know what the Beautiful Disasters series is, it is basically where I take a natural disaster or something that's dangerous and I turn it into a person. Doesn't have to be a woman, but usually is. But I might include some dudes or guys inside of this series, so that might be something to look forward to. So far, the only one that I covered was a tornado, and now I have quicksand, and I have a lot to cover because you guys have been just suggesting a lot of good subjects. And I don't know when I'll be able to finish this series because the suggestions just keep coming in and I really want to do them all, but in time. Now for the drawing, I had a general idea of what I wanted to do, and I think the main thing I was trying to capture was the sand or like sucking in, because there's always that myth that quicksand will make you drown, and you always picture that hand coming out of quicksand because they can't get out. But I read about it and quicksand actually doesn't go that deep. They say that it won't actually bring you all the way down, and if you struggle you will go deeper, but if you don't struggle and just stay still, you'll actually float back up because you are lighter or something like that. You could read about that more online, but basically I just wanted to capture the sense that she's trying to pull you in, or it's kind of like deadly looking, so I tried to make it a little bit different from the others where they kind of look graceful or beautiful and soft, I guess, and I wanted to make her a little bit more dangerous looking. Now for the sketch, I used the Prismacolor Colorase in terracotta, and this is because I wanted to give it a softer look instead of using a blue or red to sketch it. For the body shape, I wanted to give her an hourglass shape, and the reason for this, I tried to exaggerate a little bit more in the sketch, but then when I was finishing it up, it didn't exactly show as much, but I did it because there's sand inside of the hourglass things where you tip it and there's the time. So I thought that was a fun little thing to include. For the hands, it took a little bit of time to draw, but I just used my own hand as reference. So as a tip that I want to reiterate from my tips and tricks video is that using your own hand as reference or someone else's hand that you know, it really helps when drawing or trying to figure out a pose that you can't find on the internet. And for the hair, I wanted to make it seem like either she came out of the quicksand or she's like part of it and she's like melded into it. So I wanted to like melt into the sand part. For the whole drawing itself, I didn't really plan it out ahead of time. I didn't do any sketches beforehand. It was just some ideas I had in my head and I just kind of spilled it out onto paper. It was getting pretty late, so I didn't want to lose daylight, so I just decided to go for it. And I do like how it turned out. I think that it captured what I wanted it to capture in this beautiful disaster drawing. The only thing that I didn't know what to do was the clothes. So I knew I wanted to put something on her, but I didn't exactly plan ahead for that, so I kind of just made it into like sand or something. So after coloring in all her hair and doing the sand and everything, I thought that the drawing looked a little too yellow and brown, and there was no like contrast or variation except for between the yellow and the white of the paper. So I decided to go ahead and add in some blue to give it like a little pop of color. So first I added it into shading, and I did this because if I just shaded it with brown and yellow, it just kind of made it look more brown and more yellow, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to contrast it, so I used a light blue tint and I shaded it to kind of make the hair and such like pop out. It kind of gave it a little more of a 3D effect, and I really like how that turned out. I'm not very experienced in using other colors to shade, but I decided to give it a go. I really like how other people do that and use like purples and pinks and blues and greens and such to shade in skin, and I thought that was really cool. So I think it worked pretty well because blue and yellow, they're not complementary colors, but they are contrasting enough. And then I decided to go ahead and outline her eyes because that's usually what I like to accent the most. But I didn't use black. I decided to use the terracotta watercolor, and then I decided to color in her eyes with a darker blue just to make it stand out from the rest. Overall, I really like how this one turned out. So this is my interpretation of a quicksand beautiful disaster. I hope you guys like it. Leave any more suggestions down below. I'll be sure to put them on the list if they're new, but just remember that I won't be able to finish it all like this year or soon because there are so many suggestions and I have a lot of other series going on as well, so I will be writing them down, but it may take some time for me to get to it. Also, I want to mention that this is just my interpretation of the disaster. If you want to do your own interpretation, that's fine, but I push you guys to make it your original own creation instead of just copying maybe my own or someone else's. So with that, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!